Okay, this isn't the exact gutter that I'm going to be doing, but this is just to give you a couple options. Any of these options are okay. So what I was initially going to do with these gutters is just connect to, I wanted to do a basin, but most basins that come already assembled are like 50-60 bucks, and I wasn't going to do that because I have 3 of these to run, and that's just too much. I'm cheap, so I said, okay, we'll just tie right to the gutter, go down. Well, normally that's good, except I have these 4x4 gutters, and it's just hard to find a piece for those. So if I did find a piece, it'd be like 20-30 bucks, and I don't want to spend that. So if you have a normal gutter, you make a little piece, a little 2x3 piece, and it's just perfect. If you do that route, what you're going to do is you can either tie in right here, or you can take this off and let it just drop straight down here. You get some 45s, run the tube down. If you go right here, run the tube down about 12 inches, put a 45 on, send it out. If you go straight down, then I'd recommend a 45, go down about 10 inches, run a 45, go down a couple more inches, put another 45 on. If you do a straight 90, it can give the water and sediment some place to kind of back up into in the back part of that 90-degree angle. So, another thing to consider, you can do the perforated pipes, and those will help get all the water that's surrounding in the soil to go through the drain. Now the key to that is that you need a whole lot of gravel. And when I'm running 200 or so feet worth of pipe here, that's gonna end up being a very costly job. So I didn't wanna do that. You can get your sewer drain pipe. This is actually the thicker of the 2 sewer drain pipes. Costs the same price at my LOWES. So I'm going with this because it's thicker, it'll hold itself together. The key is you don't have to use gravel around it, you can just put it right into the soil. The key is to pack it as tight as you can around it so the pipe won't deform. We'll show that later as we get going. Anywho, so since I couldn't go straight to the drain, I actually found this at my local LOWES. This was 10 bucks, this was 10 bucks. That's what I'm using. I can do 20 bucks because after these pieces, this ended up being about $5–10 more. And I'm okay with that. It's not 50 like I thought they were gonna be. So I'm piecing a basin together. So we're gonna take it right here, tie that right on into there, send it out. I'm starting out 12 inches, going down to 24 inches. I have about a 50–60 inch run. That puts me at about a 1/5 of an inch a square or a foot. You need to go about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch a foot of slope. The other thing with the sewer drain pipe that I like is that even though we won't be catching, the water seeping down through the soil because it's not perforated, we shouldn't have to glue any, which I'll show you that as we go, because the sewer pipe has a beveled edge, so they can just slide right into each other and carry the water down. Should be pretty simple once we get digging. So my first step here to make it easy is I put a stake on each end where I'm running it, taking it out to the pond. Put a string on. You can use flour. I just use an old spray paint that I'm not ever going to use anymore, and spray painted over the line. So now I know I have a straight line, straight run where I'm going, and I can just dig a few inches on each side of the line, slope it down. Let's get to digging. So there we go, we got the trench dug out for now. We'll have to tweak it a little bit, but that 55–60 foot run took me about an hour, a little bit over an hour and a half, so not bad. I had a demo hammer ready if needed, but they all came up pretty good. So next will be connecting or catch basin, or if you're going straight to the gutter, connecting that and getting the slope right. So I would love nothing more than to show you how I do this. A couple things with this pipe before we start laying. Now, if you're going straight off of the gutter, you can cut a piece of your pipe if you want, or you get your adapter. And then the thing is that we have a beveled edge here. So say you're coming off of the gutter, we have 2 different types of elbows. One that will fit into this, and then one that will fit, that won't. That will just go over the smaller side, the thinner side here. So if you're coming off a gutter, you'll pull it into the gutter, then you'll take a 45, just a regular 45 degree, and you can slide that. And then you can cut another piece for this side. And then once you get down to, you get your 90 degree, you can start your run just with the beveled side here going straight out. So that's how you do it if you're on your gutter. So now we'll come to how I'm doing it with the basin. Well, I want to start everything with this beveled side. Because the thinner part will go, the regular size tube will go right in here, and it'll just keep continuous water flow. If I flipped it, then the water flow could back up in here. So you always want to start your run this side, be closest to where you're drawing it out from, because it just keeps the flow going consistent. So with that said, I always just cut this first one because that's not going to do it. I need to cut this bevel off of this one. That's all. And then we can hook it up. Quick cut off there. Now as you can see, that fits in there snugly. And then we'll run it. And we'll take a new pipe. Beveled edge will go over this to keep that continuous run going of water. Digging with this one, as you can see, I actually already finished up that one. Kind of got busy and didn't have time to record. So I'm doing things a little different on this one. You can tell I've only dug out about 15 feet. And what I found on the last one is that I'd rather get my slope as well as I could. So I figured I can hopefully put this all in, get the first run, see exactly where my slope is, my depth I need to be at, and that will make it easier for me to dig, because then I'll have a baseline of how deep to dig and can eyeball the slope a little bit. Because with this pipe, it's not going to bend, you know. I mean, if you get some slope, it'll stop on high points, it'll go down on low points, and it's not like the perforated pipe. So I can set this in here. I want it a few inches below the surface, which it is. I'm going to add a few inches of gravel to build up a base for it. Check my placement. I do want it to be a little bit below surface. Which C is. I want to make sure that it's flowing from the gutter like I want. Position, checked it level, make sure I liked where it was. Just slid this piece in there, and you can check to see where slope is. See, you see that ball? If it's right at the end, then that means it's right where it needs to be. That puts about 2 inches every 10 feet. So I mean, it's actually a little steep right there, but this gives me a good baseline, and now I can even backfill underneath it here, and maybe in some spots to raise it just a little bit. So now I have a good idea of how deep I need to go to push this out. So let's keep digging. We dug out a little bit more. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to dig out about 15-foot sections and drop a pipe in there. Now, on this side, I dug the whole way. So I mean, by all means, if you want to just dig the whole way, that's a quote-unquote normal way to do it. Now, if you have like a excavator, ditch witch, some tractor to dig it, then I would just dig the whole thing. Rule of thumb, I'd go a little bit deeper in what you think you're going to need. But since I'm hand digging it, I ran into a couple hours worth of having to dig deeper over here because I didn't, dig deep enough. So I like this idea, just using the baseline and flowing it out. So, and it kind of gives me a break between hand digging. So I will drop this in. Normal side, beveled side, slide it in, and we'll check the level. You can use a hammer or mallet to hammer this to where it gets more flush in here. Get as tight as you can. I dropped it in, I checked the level, and it's right where it needs to be. See my level there. I can literally raise it up to where it's level, and that's about 2.5 inches up. So that gives me about a 1/4 inch slope per foot. So I love it. So get off the digger, keep going. It out. I dug it out a little bit, dropped another one in. Now this one I can tell is not sloped. Bubbles right in the middle. You can tell. I can look at this and see that there's space underneath here. That's great. Then I get right down to here and there's nothing. So I know I need to dig out this area more. Slope properly. Hammered it in, get nice and tight, and as you can tell on the back, just covering the bottom. And the reason is because the soil's still moist, so it makes for a good way to pack around there instead of leaving any gaps. That way it won't deform, like I said earlier in this video. So dig, go. All is done, all is put together here. So take it to where you're going to terminate. I am terminating out to my pond. I'm going to leave it like this. I'm actually going to fill the dirt back in, and then I'll cut it off from where I want eventually. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that yet, but I'll cut it off after I fill it back in, I think. Also, as you can tell, I've been filling the bottom and sides with the soil. It's still nice and moist, and so I'm packing it to make sure that the pipe does not deform. And then we're just going to start pouring all the soil back on it after we do a test run to make sure it works. Check, make sure nothing's leaking from these connections, which it definitely shouldn't be. There you go. Backfill. And as you can see, I did dirt on this side, grass on this side, so I'm going to backfill my dirt pretty close to the level. And I'm actually going to try to save some of this with my grass. It's almost spring, so growing season is hither. So we have filled her back in. We even cut it off where we wanted. The old sauce surrounded with rocks. Beautiful pond. Here's the other one. Surrounded her with rocks so she can drain right on in. Planted some grass seed, and now we'll wait for it to grow.